What up, guys? Let's get right into it. So, as you can see, Ohio State, I believe they bought their championship. They did not earn their championship. I'll say it again. They bought their championship. $20 million roster, the most spent reportedly in college football. That's a bought championship. They got all kind of players from all kind of schools. Caleb Downs, Judkins. They bought Jeremiah Smith out of high school. They bought their quarterback, Will Howard. It's like, what has college football become? It's become baseball, basically. It's become where there's not even a salary cap in college football, where you can just buy. Whoever can spend the most and buy the most players wins the championship. We all saw they had a talented roster, but we knew that they also spent the most, and they got all these guys from different schools, a lot of SEC guys. And it's funny because the Big Ten was always, oh, we're the rival to the SEC. Well, why did you need to go get a lot of their great players to win the championship? Why did you need to go get, these players from different conferences to win a championship? Why did you need to go get players like a Jeremiah Smith from Florida to win a championship? Oh, wait, that's because you bought your championship. And it's a sad day for the sport. It's a sad day for the sport now that you can buy championships. So now we know in the future for next year's playoff, just like this year's, the top teams left, the top 4 or 8 teams are going to be the teams that spent the most. Not the best teams or talented teams. It's just going to be the teams that spent the most on talent and have the most talented players. And I think that that's seriously a system flawed. It's a flawed system. And we saw them lose to a Michigan, which that was nice to see because Michigan's just more physical and it's just a bad matchup for them. But once Ohio State got it going in the playoffs and they got all their guys healthy and they got all their guys with some chemistry, we knew they were going to win because they spent the most money and they had the best team because they bought the best team. So, I guess you could say that's kind of how recruiting's always been. But now it's just gotten out of control to where other schools that are smaller don't even have a chance anymore because you're out here buying players. You don't even have to develop players anymore. You can just buy them. You can just buy them and say, oh, okay, well, we see all these SEC schools. We got more money than them at Ohio State, so we're going to take your best players and we're going to put them on our team and mix them with the already good talent we have because we're Ohio State and we're going to win the championship. And then we're going to brag to everyone how good we are and we're Ohio State, the Ohio State, and we're so great. You bought a championship. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100%. Because the other team that was top, they said, spending on the roster was Texas. But Texas really didn't spend as much on their roster. It's just because they had Quinn Ewers and Arch. So they were paying like $10 million almost for just 2 quarterbacks, one who didn't even play that much this year. So really the rest of their roster, they didn't pay that much for because it was all spent on 2 quarterbacks. While as Ohio State, they had their roster spread out, They were paying all these guys. They brought in all these guys. And it's just annoying to see. It's just annoying to hear the fans brag how good they were and all this. And it's like, you really weren't. You bought a championship. But that's the era we're living in. So me as a Florida State fan, where it says we have the number 7 collective, which I don't think we do anymore. Not after the losing season we had. Our money's down now. We don't have a chance then because we can't buy the players that Ohio State can buy. Even as, like, say, Alabama. Alabama doesn't have a chance because they can't buy the players that Ohio State or Texas can buy, or Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the biggest cheater in this whole NIL thing, even more than Ohio State. It's because they were able to remain independent, so they got $20 million for being in the college football playoffs, while as the other teams all had to split their money revenue with the rest of the teams in their conference. How is that fair? How is that fair? Where's the NCAA at? Where's the NCAA at? What I think needs to happen is the NCAA does not need to run college football anymore. They need to go to a private body that's not ESPN, that's not the College Football Playoff Committee. No, completely privatize it out. If it needs to be a feeder league to the NFL and the NFL runs it and they have a salary cap for it, then do that. But it's ridiculous to give these guys all this money and all this stuff without a salary cap, without any rules. Guys can just transfer constantly. In the NFL, do guys switch teams every year? No. In the NFL, is there a salary cap? Would Jerry Jones have bought a championship a long time ago if there was no salary cap? Yeah, he sure would have. So it's like we have to have some kind of standard. You're ruining the game. You're ruining players playing for the love of the game. All we see is guys transfer each year. And we saw that even after for Ohio State, even after the championship game, they won the championship. Someone offered Jeremiah Smith $5 million to enter the portal. $5 million to enter the portal. And it's like, it's ridiculous. What if someone offered him $10 million? He probably would have transferred. That's a lot of money. How can you say no to that? And it's like, that's ruining the traditions of college football. That's ruining for playing for your team, for playing for your name on the back of the jersey. You're just playing for money. So, school spirit's going to be low and school pride's going to be low. And it's hard to get behind this anymore because a lot of blue bloods are not even going to be able to compete anymore because they just don't have the money. And say your favorite team, they have a great year and your quarterback has an amazing year. Well, your quarterback can get bought now. So he could go 13-1 at your school, lose in the championship game. And then here comes Ohio State. Here comes Texas saying, we're going to buy him from y'all for $10 million. And the school doesn't even get any of the money, just the player. And they're going to take that guy and then they're going to win a championship with him because they bought the best player. Pretty soon, they're going to start buying Heisman winners. It's going to be a bid for who can get the Heisman winner if he doesn't go pro. If Genty didn't go pro, how much money do you think Genty would have got? $5-10 million? A big school would have offered him everything. And, they would have, Ohio State, Judkins is leaving, Henderson is leaving. Here you go, Genty. We'll offer you $12 million to play this year. And bam. I'm surprised that they haven't bought another quarterback. It was reported that they were thinking about buying Carson Beck, but they saw, Carson Beck's not good. We're not going to do that. We'll let Miami, who buys, quarterbacks, we'll let them go buy another quarterback, and we'll see them lose even more games than last year because he's not better than Cam Ward. So that kind of stuff's, to me, funny to see when you see the teams buying all these players, including my team, Florida State, and the whole roster's a bust, and you realize, that can happen too. But I still think that there needs to be some kind of rules in place. I think we need to implement some kind of rules, and we need to have a change needs to come. A change needs to come, and it needs to come quick. I say before next season, because this is just getting ridiculous. Nobody wants to watch a sport where you just buy the championships. And if Ohio State wins again next year because they have the most money and they buy another championship because now they won a championship, so that made them even more money, who's going to want to watch that? I'm not going to want to watch that. And I know most fans are not going to want to watch that because that's boring. And that's not fair. So NCAA, y'all need to either step up or we need to let a private organization run college football and run this NIL and make some rules and tell guys, you can transfer 2 times. One time, during your undergrad and one time as a graduate. And if you want to transfer more than that, you're welcome to, but you got to sit out a year. I think that's fair. They should have never changed that. And then with the money-wise, we got to set a salary cap because it's not fair to some of these other schools that they now can't compete at all. I'm talking about big schools not being able to compete, Georgia's, Alabama's. They don't have the money that some of these other top schools have. And they're not going to be able to compete because of the way you have the money structure set up. And it's just wrong. So hopefully college football will come to a change, and hopefully we won't see any more bought championships, but they'll be bought each year now until somebody comes in and makes some rules. Somebody comes in and makes a salary cap. But all right, guys, it's Bias Sports. Please let me know what y'all think. Did y'all think Ohio State bought their championship? All right, I'm out.